Choose your people very carefully. So when you hire people, uh, don't compromise. Um, it's very easy to say, "Oh, yeah, we need a lot of people. We're growing so fast. We need people, and so we're gonna just take, yeah, this person is kind of matches what we need, but it's not exactly the right people." It's are a lot more than a lot of the wrong people.
Hmm.
So if you have, um, I can say that I believe right now we're doing a lot more with a lot less people at IQ than we did before.
Hi, everyone. This is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into seven and eight figure businesses, as well as a founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we are always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Noam Sapien. And Noam started his journey coming out of high school, or never went to high school, but rather started his bachelor's degree, I think, around age 14, and went into studying physics, finished the degree, and then went into the military. After a little while, I left the military and went to work in the defense or industry, and also got a PhD during the meantime. After that, worked for Apple for about a year or so, and then moved over into the IT, or over into IT, which is where he continues to work today alongside with his current business. So, with that much as a introduction, welcome on the podcast.
Hi.
So excited to have you here, and looking forward to a great conversation. So I just gave kind of the quicker or high level overview of your journey, but why don't we rewind and unpack that a bit more? So tell me a little bit more about how your journey got started, going into college and getting a degree at a fairly young age.
Well, I always wanted to be an inventor. This has been a thought that I had from a very, very young age. And when I got the opportunity at age 14 to take some college classes, I just jumped at it and decided that, physics sounds about fun, sounds interesting, sounds cool,
Hmm.
holograms and all the beautiful things you can do with it. And I started taking a few classes in college at the Hebrew University in Israel. That's where I was living. And ended up taking a full bachelor's degree instead, and skipping a little bit of high school to do that. And I went from there. As I said, I grew up in Israel, so you have to serve the military,
Hmm.
and served the military. I was a gunner in a tank. Then I moved to defense industries, as you mentioned. I did a lot of other things like working in telecom a little bit at the beginning and then moving to semiconductors. Worked there for about 10 years.
So now,
Had
just was that all kind of within the defense industry, or so walk us through that a little bit. So understand had the kind of the mandatory military service, did that for a period of time, and then as you're coming out, you said you went into the defense industry. Now, was the defense industry a natural? Hey, I've already been in the military. It's a natural ability or a path to transition, or was there a desire to work in the defense industry, or kind of what got you started down that initial path?
Well, it was very natural. I basically continued working on the project that I've been working on when I was at the military, when I was serving.
Hmm.
Um, that project actually won the Israeli Defense Award, so I'm very proud of it. It's a good thing to be working on. Um, I ended up working for a couple of companies in the defense industries, and then I opened my own consulting business there. doing pretty much the same thing, just being my own boss and
Hmm.
dealing with things that I never knew you had to deal with before, like getting contracts and marketing and all those wonderful things.
Well, sounds like plenty to keep you busy and out of trouble. So you did you said you did the defense industry, and how long did you work in the defense industry before you or went and pursue some of the other endeavors?
Overall, about 10 years. And then I was I can't I never sit still, so I can't really do just one thing.
Hmm.
So while I was at the first few years of being doing the defense industry work that I've been doing, I was doing my PhD. When I finished my PhD, I was still doing my defense work, but I had a lot of time on my hands, so I started working for a company doing semiconductors, working at metrology, which is basically measuring the all the little tiny elements in the semiconductor industry, um, nanometer. And then in 2013, I moved from Israel to the United States and continued working in semiconductors. Um, Stopped working in defense industries at that point. But then about a year after I got to the United States, I was contacted and I was working at a company, at a startup company that did medical devices. And they were working on a medical device for treating glaucoma using lasers, which was my specialty. Um, and so I was doing that while I was doing my semiconductor work.
Hmm.
And then in 2017, I ended up in Apple, worked there for a year. I did not really like that. Maybe it's too big of a company. I prefer smaller, where you have a lot of opportunity for innovation. And
Hmm.
so I ended up working at a company called IQ, which is the company that I work at right now
So you went and
on the
worked
PO.
so you went and worked at, big industry, said, okay, maybe that's not for me. Now, how did you kind of get connected to the company that you're doing now with IQ and some of those things? Was that, hey, have someone naturally in your network, or was it someone, you came across it by happenstance or previous people you'd engaged with, or kind of how did you settle or land on that? Because, coming off of what would be a large, well-known business, have a lot of name recognition to going to something smaller. I definitely get, and I like the startup and small business realm, but kind of gives you a different perspective or different set of challenges and different opportunities. So how did you kind of get or connected there?
Yeah, so I was, as I said, I was working at Apple. I didn't really like that, so I was looking for another job.
Hmm.
And it just happened that I found a job posting for IQ as a um, optical engineer. It was a very simple, low-key type position in terms of the way it was described. But then when I went to the interview and I talked to John, who's the CEO of the company, it was wow. I was blown away by the idea because it never even occurred to me that you can do what IQ is doing, which is basically taking all those measurements at home by yourself, doing all the um, things that you need to go to an eye doctor and, spend uh, the time to get there, and it's never convenient and all that, and just do it all at home. And I love the technology. It was very interesting to me. And when I was talking to John, he was like, "Yeah, this is not exactly a good fit. We'll have to make you director of hardware engineering." instead of an optical engineer. Um, and that's how I started at IQ. I started as director of hardware and system engineering. From there, basically about, I would say 3 months into the job, um, I think I showed promise and I got promoted to VP of Science and Technology, which is basically taking care of the technology part, mainly the hardware part, but also taking care of clinical work and regulatory work and everything that is associated with really making a medical device.
Mm.
Um, a couple of years later, fast forward, we did really beautiful things. Our devices work really well. Clinical trials show that they work really well. It was really great. I got promoted to CTO and then to president and CTO, which is what I am now with the company. Basically dealing with the entire technology related aspects of the company, um, as well as things like compliance and regulatory and um, as I mentioned, clinical trials and things like that that are all necessary to be successful in a business like that.
No, that makes perfect sense. Now you did that. Now, about what time frame was that when ended up moving over to IQ or initially?
My initial move to IQ was middle of 2018. Yeah. I
Now you moved over to, you moved over to IQ middle of 2018. Now you said, it sounds like kind of almost a progression where so to speak, work your way up on the business, your chain of command or kind of otherwise, kind of continue to pursue those opportunities and grow with the business and take on more responsibility to lead to where you're at today. But kind of over what period of time did it take to kind of from when you initially started with them to kind of being in the management or running the business?
well, so in terms of running the technology, that was very, very fast. We're talking about very few months.
Mm.
Um, but in terms of really taking over the entire uh, technology aspect, including software and where are we actually going, just strategically uh, moving the company in the direction that makes the most sense, working directly with John. Um, so I think we've been working very well together, basically from day one. It's been a great journey that way. And then as we moved forward, it was very natural to for me and I believe for the company as well to make this progression for me to take over more and more responsibilities. And this is something that I wanted because I really believe in what we're doing. I believe in the company's mission, which is um, making eye care available to everyone, anywhere, anytime, which is really not what we have today. So the even the business concept is very disruptive. I mean, the
Mm.
technology is really out there. It's really amazing that you have a tiny little thing, that you can attach to your smartphone and get the measurements that if you go to an eye doctor, you need devices that are, the size of half a room or something like that. So it's pretty impressive. And the innovation for this company is amazing. And that's one of the things that we really uh, are proud of. And I'm really excited about with this company. I mean, we have about 30 something patents
Mm.
um, just from this company alone. Um, I myself, I think I have more than 50 today. So I love inventing things, ideas. And at IQ, we never run out of ideas. I mean, our biggest problem is that sometimes we have too many ideas and we need to kind of focus and, go in the direction that will be the most successful. Um, but ideas and innovation is key to everything that we do, and that includes technology and includes from a business perspective. So it's very exciting.
No, it doesn't. And maybe just a little bit to rewind or to expand a little bit. So you mentioned, hey, one of the things that you got, or you kind of worked your way up. Now, as you get, some people get into, doing a startup or a small business, and you work your way up, you take on more responsibility, and you find, hey, I really love this, enjoy it, and it's a great opportunity. And other people kind of said, hey, I wish I could just go back to, in quotes, being the lowly manager, the person that, just worked on the technology, and I didn't have to worry about all the headaches and hassles of working with a lot of different people under a lot of, or, on a lot of different aspects, or juggling a lot of balls. So kind of as you worked your way up, kind of got that greater levels of experience and and kind of and greater opportunities as well. How did was that something that you enjoyed, or it otherwise was a great opportunity, or do you kind of long for the old days where you could just simply go back, sit on the workbench, and so to speak, and work on the product?
Well, so that is a great point, I must say. I mean, a lot of people feel that way. I enjoy what I do. I really enjoy even taking care of things that I don't usually like, that are not really in my comfort zone, things like marketing and sales. Um, my favorite thing is, of course, the technology and developing things. And I really am glad that at IQ, I I don't I never missed that. I'm not I never gave that up. It's still something that I do. I still develop products, develop technologies, develop things that are completely new and out there, as well as doing all the other things that I've mentioned and you mentioned. Um,
Hmm.
and that's
No.
it's a great, feeling of being able to really do all this and given the opportunity and seeing how amazing this thing is. I mean, just this morning we got a testimonial from one of our customers that said, "This is amazing. This is incredible. I got glasses that are better than any glasses that I had before. I can see better now than ever." So this was, you know, if you work only in the lab and you don't have any of those interactions, you don't see these things. And getting to be able to even talk to customers, um, I used to not really like that part. But as one matures professionally, um, it gets really interesting because you get very different perspectives on
Hmm.
the technology that you're developing. And so
No, that's
I'm
that's
very
awesome.
happy with
Well,
all the aspects of the job that I'm doing right now.
no, that's awesome. And it sounds like you found a great place where you get a good mixture of kind of areas where you get to, keep your hands in the technology and otherwise do the areas that you wanted to, you love and enjoy, but also have the ability to take on additional roles and build and grow the business. So it sounds like it's a great mixture and a great opportunity all around. So now if you're to, so we've kind of caught up a bit to the present day. You started the business, worked your way up, now taking on kind of leadership role and continuing to direct and manage it, and also have a hand in the technology. But if you're to kind of look and forecast out, kind of take the next, or 12 to 18 months, next year and a half, and kind of say this is where we're headed. Is it continue to just simply build and grow and expand, or are you planning on going in new directions, or taking on different areas of the marketplace, or kind of where do you see things really headed for you?
Well, we are developing a brand new technology right now to really enhance the technology that we already have. So we're integrating. I know a lot of people use the buzzword AI. So I'm gonna just say we're using advanced types of algorithms, AI type, that
Hmm.
allow you to take the test in a way that is easier, faster, more accurate, and more tailored to your vision, to your eyes than before. And that technology, I believe, will be truly revolutionary in the way that people will be able to adopt it um, in much easier way than our previous devices and previous technologies that were a little bit, it's a starting point. It's a great way of doing things by yourself and getting the care that you need and getting access. But when you get to the point where you have ease of use, then it can go to the masses. And that's where I believe our company is heading right now. It's really there's a book called Crossing the Chasm. So it's a great business concept where you have the early adopters, you have the people that really like the technology, really are interested in it, and then you have a big chasm that you need to cross in order to get to mass adoption. And I
Hmm.
think this is where IQ is right now. It's crossing that chasm. It's exactly getting to the point where we can actually give this technology to the masses and they will like it. Um,
Well,
the
that's awesome. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so, yeah. The way for us to do this is really, going hand in hand with our customers, with the users of our technology to really address all the issues that we saw before. And so I think everything that we've done in the past, 6, 7, 8 years has led to this kind of technology.
Well, that's awesome. No, it sounds like it's an exciting place to be and a fun one to yet to, or on a lot of things yet to come. So definitely it'll be fun to continue to watch and see how things evolve for you. So, well, now as we've kind of reached the present day of the journey and even looking a little bit to where you guys are headed, great time to transition to the two questions I always like to ask at the end of each episode. So we're going to jump to those now. So the first question I'd like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? What'd you learn from it?
So I actually thought about this one very hard because it's very hard to point out, one thing. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. We all make mistakes along the way, and we'll all learn from them. And I think the one thing that I really noticed is that, especially at the beginning of my journey, I was very, very risk averse. I
Mm,
was um, I didn't start my own business until I was working at in the defense industry. I was working for about 3 or 4 years, doing exactly the same thing that I could have done if I had my own business. And I was like, no, I will just work for these people. And it comes in other elements too, where, oh, it's easier to do incremental improvements rather than really come up with innovative, revolutionary, risky ideas. And
mm.
so at the beginning, it took me a while to do that. And now I believe that I take risks. I'm a lot more optimistic than I was. So what I learned the most is think about what is the um, real game changer
Mm.
rather than what is the least risky approach. But because when you think about the next big idea, you you really need to kind of take that leap and believe in yourself. And even if it's a risk, usually when you are very passionate about something and you really do it for the right motivation, um, things work out.
No, that one's an easy place to make a mistake and also a great one to learn from in the sense that, risk averse. I think, first of all, most entrepreneurs tend to be more willing to take risk than the typical person. Take myself and my wife as a contrast. I tend to be more on the entrepreneurial side, and hey, I always see the opportunity and negate the risk, or hey, risk isn't a big deal, or I'll worry about that later. And yet my wife is the opposite, where hey, the risk is what makes her nervous or makes her want to hold back or reconsider. And I think that finding that balance of that risk and when to hold back or when to not make that leap, but also not let it to or hold you back too long, or otherwise keep you from what you'll love and enjoy, is always that balance. And both places are an easy place to make those mistakes, but also great ones to learn from.
Exactly.
Second question now that I'd like to ask is, so now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one rule of thumb that you'd recommend?
Choose your people very carefully. So when you hire people, uh, don't compromise. Um, it's very easy to say, "Oh, yeah, we need a lot of people. We're growing so fast. We need people, and so we're gonna just take, yeah, this person is kind of matches what we need, but it's not exactly the right people. It's are a lot more than a lot of the wrong people. So
Hmm.
if you have, um, I can say that I believe right now we're doing a lot more with a lot less people at IQ than we did before. So I think that choosing the right people, and not just at IQ. I mean, I've had that almost in every company I worked for, or even companies that I started. The right people with the right motivation will give you um, an advantage over a lot of people that are not exactly into what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a great one. It's sometimes especially when you're starting out, you think, oh, we just need more bodies to throw this because hey, everybody always works hard. They'll do a great job. It's not, and you kind of probably have a sense of naiveness in the sense that you think that hey, we'll just add more people and we'll solve the problem. But then I think that to your point, getting those people that are going to be the ones that are impactful, the ones that are going to stand by the business, so they're otherwise going to work hard, add things, and contribute. Those are the ones that are more impactful rather than just having a larger amount of people on the job or the bodies kind of filling the seat. So I think that's definitely a great rule of thumb. Well, now as we kind of wrap towards the end of the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Well, best way for contacting me, so you can send me a message through LinkedIn. That's always a good possibility. I'm on there. And then my email address, which is nom.sapien@iq.com.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, expand their network, support a great business. If nothing else, make a new best friend. So, with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of the listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So, just go to inventiveunicorn.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners, make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And along that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we are always here to help. Well, thank you again for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.